Hello and welcome to my channel. My name's Brian if you're new around here, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for being awesome. We really appreciate you just being a subscriber, and also for checking out today's video. So you are amazing. That's what you get for subscribing. Extra compliments at the start of my videos. Today's topic is a discussion thread that's happening over on the New World subreddit. I'll include a link in the description if you want to just bounce over there and kind of read this post for yourself. But we're going to break it down. I'm going to give you guys some context about the certain points that are being made in this, in this post. But as always, this is a conversation about, in this case, the friction, what I view as what I call the friction between gamers and content creators, aka streamers, in this case, because of both the size and what we call the content creation economy as it relates to just gaming. And it's unreal, and it's a really interesting conversation. It's a really interesting thing to watch from my perspective, but obviously there's a little bit of bias here because I'm a content creator. You're watching a video from a content creator discuss gamers versus content creators. So it shouldn't always just be my voice. I like to know what you guys think, and hopefully we can do a follow-up video highlighting, I guess, your best points and best comments. But just if you do comment, just remember to keep it respectful, especially if somebody is disagreeing with you in the comments. We're not really going to change minds with just a quick worded text message. That's why Twitter sucks. Delete Twitter, hashtag. All right. All right, let's have some fun. So this starts off how streamers will ruin New World and your next favorite game. As you all know, the PvP scaling was changed literally due to one streamer's input about the game. You may ask, well, why is that so bad? He's been playing MMOs for years now, and he knows a lot more about how one functions. Let me tell you why this is a very bad, horrible, I love that, for not only New World, but for the rest of new games in development. First and foremost, if you guys aren't aware, catching you up to speed, the open beta made a change to the PvP scaling with the New World. In the closed beta, we saw plenty of scaling in which that a skill was more incentivized between PvP, meaning a high level 60 player could be beat by a level 30 player or a level 20 player if the level 20 player played skillfully. They have changed that, and there's been a lot of backlash, and New World's already, the developers already said they're hearing you and they're listening, so we'll have to wait and see what adjustments are made. There's a friction between the RPG side and the skill side because there's one aspect that you want to grind out and get powerful gear and loot, and you should be rewarded for that. But there's the other aspect where I kind of fall, in which that you de-incentivize new players, especially 1 month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, from actually flagging for PvP if the risk is that a high level player is just going to come in and one-shot them. That's not fun. Skill-based combat, in my opinion, is fun, and you got to strike a weird balance between the player who can grind and has more time versus the player who has more skill. I don't think it should be one-to-one, especially because this is an RPG rather than a straight up where everything's even. But I think they obviously overreached the numbers. I'm not going to sit here and calculate them for you here because it doesn't matter. We're going to have to wait and see what the next patch says, how the devs respond, rather than just try to fight over certain percentages. But that's essentially the context. I think they really overreached. I think the community had a lot of good things to say about that, and I'm hoping that the devs respond and and we'll see what their response in action means when it comes to the launch of New World on the 28th, and also future updates to the game. All right. Also, as a side note, this was coming from one streamer who got beat by a low-level player and went on had an epic gaming moment, I guess you could say. Breaking it down, at the end of the day, I watched the video. I didn't think there was really anything to it, but that's just where I fall. First off, one input to a beta should never be considered as an unbiased opinion. For the greater good type of change, the guy played the game, got wrecked because of his skill set, and lost PvP battles fair and square. That was the fun of it, the skill. With the new implementations of absurd level-based scaling, the game will become unfun for new users and people who are late to the game. They don't have as much time to grind, they have day jobs, they have families, etc. It's absolutely wild to me that something this drastic can come from the comments of one person's experience with the closed beta with no general consensus. So far in this case, a lot of this I think is speculative from the point of the writer. I think this is delving into the friction that I see when it comes to gamers versus streamers. And you might not fall into that category, but that category of gamer does exist, and it exists because when you, as a gamer, if you're just playing for the joy of the game, if you're just making guides and stuff like that for the joy of the game, there's at some point where You get support because people love the raw beauty of what it is to be a gamer. And then at some point, if it becomes about the money, if it becomes about the fame, like there's a sense that people are like kind of frustrated by that, because it's like, hey, did you change, or have you changed or evolved? Then you take in the marketing and PR side of it. Statistically, at the end of the day, streaming and content creation for like marketing and PR companies, like you get way more bang for the buck. That's why you see companies like publishers like Square Enix and Amazon and big companies actually hire influencer managers. That's their title, to help bridge that gap between the content creator, getting them access so they're excited about the game and want to talk about it, and then and the company, so they don't have to go out and spend a lot of this money to get their games in front of people. And there's lots of notable examples, but the big examples are the very, very small percentage. Like within content creation, you're either making it or you're starving. There isn't really what we would say maybe be, to put it simple, a middle class. Like there's the Uber, there's no middle class, and then there's everybody else just trying to like have maybe their big break or succeed, or just share something cool that they like. But there's a friction there. There's a natural friction between, like, I guess, the intention behind the individual and what success or struggle that comes along with that. But the assumption is that it was just literally one individual. Like, we do not know for a fact that they weren't taking in other feedback, or they weren't looking at this adjustment in the long run. But it's visible. Like, is it probable, practical or probable that it wasn't one individual? It wasn't this one individual. Yeah. Like a big voice saying something and then getting people behind that voice to be like, oh my gosh. What I don't want to see is a reactionary development team. Oh, big streamer says X, we need to go fill that. I don't think any game should listen to one streamer. There is a feedback loop that the streamer has with the developers, especially in terms of the influencer relation management. But I still think that overall, like, the vast majority of people are quiet. They're a quiet majority. And that's where I think we need to talk about what practical ways gamers have to be able to continue to put that feedback in, because just like an MMO can't exist off of pure hardcore content alone, nor can a game exist off of just like the voices of a small few. And so the gamers overall need to make sure they're providing feedback on forums, providing feedback via surveys, communicating that aspect themselves, regardless of their follower count, right? I think that's important. And as long as the developers weight those feedbacks appropriately, I think essentially you can end up having a really good experience for everybody, because you want content for hardcore players, you want content for streamers, you want content for people who have a day job, and you want, especially with an MMO, you want to have a wide range of content that ultimately kind of balances it all out. The point is, with this new streamer gets handed everything they want because they pull in money for Twitch, Amazon mentality, your favorite games are now more likely to become catered to people who make the most money for the company playing them. Our games aren't fun anymore. They aren't for the players. They are for profit. Stop supporting the whiny I have to be better than you, or I'm going to change the game, streamers. So I don't think games have ever been for fun. No, I mean, like, there's a fun aspect, but this is the point that he's making here is a kind of a false reality. All companies have always made games to make money. However, making a good fun game, I think, is the best way to make money, right? Like, it's like making a bad game. Activision is the worst at this. Like, they are really greedy, and people give them a pass because, historically they make really good games. In recent times, that kind of has changed the narrative, and I think that kind of helps kind of break kind of this relationship gamers have with some of the IP, right? Gamers will support, some of the worst companies because the companies have some of the best IP, and they'll excuse certain actions. And there's a breaking point that everybody personally hits, and it's not one person, it's not everybody at once. Usually it happens over the course of time. The concept, though, the goal of what is the streamer, like, what is the goal of the streamer? And this is where, like, I differ from, I think, people, but you might not necessarily see it that way. I view the concept and the privilege that has been bestowed upon me by you guys as a community leader in that regards, like being able to take y'all's feedback and amplify it. I get in trouble a lot. I get a lot of hate because of this aspect, because I amplify smaller voices, not a loud voice, with us, no, like literally like somebody has ideas, we discuss them. Like that's an aspect of what I feel I should be doing, because it isn't always about what I think. In fact, the motto of this channel is it's not about me. And that's a real important aspect that I try to bring into each piece of content that I make. So you factor that aspect, and it's like everybody's going to be different. I can't speak to all streamers for all reasons, but I think clearly there's a lot of frustration you see in this post by this individual, right? Like there's that, you see that friction here written in this world, because streamers and this economy, like at the moment, like maybe there'll be something down the line. It doesn't seem like it's going to change anytime soon. There's going to be people who gravitate around content creators and the content they make, depending on their personality. Like, are they really talented? Are they funny? Are they good? Are they nice? Like, are they informative? Like I believe content should have a value to the viewer or the listener in this regards. Like that is a key aspect of when people ask me about how do you get started. It's like don't make content, like that's like, oh, look at me. Like make content that points to something special. Be informative, be educating, like give the viewer something, give them a gift is usually the phrase that I use. But when it turns inward in that regards, like I see that people can either like, oh, that streamer, that content creator is only doing it for X, or that they're only doing it for Y. And that has a natural friction that builds in. And like, I keep saying that phrase is because like, there is no solution that this individual proposes. Stop supporting the whiny streamers. Like they're just shouting out into a void here, and they're just yeeting it into the world of Reddit, where maybe they'll find lots of people that agree with that aspect. Yes, we should stop supporting them. Were you supporting them already? Think about that. Like if this person was like, okay, now I'm, like they're subbed, with like over on Twitch with financially, they're membered, that like over on YouTube or whatever Facebook's doing. The aspect, it's a funny joke that'll make more sense later. Not in this video, but at the end of the day, like if they were actively supporting it, then yes, they have power, but essentially they're just trying to tell people what they get value, or they have a community or whatever, to stop doing that. And I don't think that's going to change anybody's mind, but I don't think developers, if they have that focus that he warns about, then absolutely you could see a lot of things coming and going the wrong way from that. I like a couple comments here. PSA threads on Reddit are all well and good, but if you're not filling out those surveys and posting on the game forums, you're basically just screaming into the night. That's what people come here for. Instead of actually saying anything with their wallet, something AGS might actually listen to, they come here so that they can scream into the void, shrug and say, well, I tried, before sitting down and bringing 72 hours of the game on release. I don't want to sit here and preach, right? Like it's such a weird topic, and it's such a weird world. 10 years ago, like, hey, what is this streamer? What is this person who's getting paid millions of dollars to, stream X game? And it's just, I think that more word of mouth marketing. It's just an evolution of the technology and how we relate to each other, more so than ever before, especially with a global pandemic where we're forced to be inside, and video games are so much more social than they've ever been. I think what I see here and really read in this post and this thread is a lot of hurt, and it's a bummer because there's nothing I can really do about it outside of just sit here and talk to you guys in that regards. And hopefully, we can always have that open and honest discussion with each other, especially as it relates to content creation, especially as it relates to streaming and culture in video games. And that's one of the goals that I like talking about. It's one of the things that I enjoy kind of chewing on, in a way. I love the word mastication. Means to chew on something. So we can maybe masticate on this one for a while. Hopefully you guys I really hope somebody was drinking something right at that moment and does like a little He either gets the milk out of the nose or does a little spit take. Like, what did he just say? What was that word, Ginger Prime? I thought you were, business friendly. Anyway, guys, this is the video. I want to know your thoughts. It's an interesting topic. And again, that's just where I'm coming from. I don't see solutions. I just see somebody just angry. And that's where I kind of default to a lot of the internet. And so what actions would you take? What solutions do you propose? How do we as a gaming culture better ourselves with this? Love to know. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, sorry this video was a little bit longer than usual. I'd love to see some hooty hoots in the comments if you made it all the way to the end. That's why I know. Also, you know what? Here, let's just really freak people out. Hey, say, oh my gosh, you're having another baby? Question mark. We're not, by the way. So if anybody's just like, what? Say congrats on the baby or something like that. And let's see what happens with this one. I appreciate you guys. I love you. Hopefully you have fun. Hopefully you have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
A little off topic, but I just want to say thank you for providing me a friendly, fun, and optimistic community. Baby, coming from an MMO community filled with toxicity, this is an amazing breath of fresh air. Keep it up, baby. Oh, yeah.